Can we just have one comment from Mr. Rathberg? He's
Okay,
been
sure.
waiting for a while. And then everybody, I know, so I've only been on the council for a couple of years now, and I've greatly seen the community involvement increase coming here. So I thank everybody for doing that. So please keep coming to the meetings, be more participated. Maybe you'll see a little bit more of what's going on than necessarily what we hear in the community. So please, thank you. But sorry.
12 years ago, the county health department came out and suggested that we get a piece of property. It's about 40, 50 acres. It's got 20 acres of sand on it, sandy loam. It's good for a large septic field. They suggested we buy it. It's up for tax sale right now, but they're making payments now. From what I understand, when Andy, our county treasurer, decides that they've been on that payment plan too long, then it goes to tax sale. The village would probably be first to get it, the way I understand it operates. So keep your eyes on that piece of property and see what happens to it. I think that, Main Street people should know about this. I studied sewers. I studied Smiths Creek and Worth over towards St. Clair County there. They both ended up in court because they didn't want to get sewers even though they were supposed to. They didn't say they had to get sewers, they just said they couldn't pollute anymore. And they chose to fight it. And they both ended up in the Michigan Supreme Court, and both of them lost, and they put sewers in. I don't think we're at that point. I don't think we're polluting enough. I think we're internally polluting, but I don't think we're externally polluting to a serious level. But it's something, when something comes at us that we can get for practically free, and the county health department said that would be one of the easiest fixes. I would much rather run my own septic system than tap into something that goes to Detroit. So, you can investigate this and see. I saw it on the tax sale.
Okay.
It's there. I called.
Thank you for
They're
that.
making payments, so it's just something I think you already know about.
Okay. All right. Was somebody speaking? Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to ask a question. You would prefer, you would like businesses to come into Leonard, right?
Sure.
Do we have commercial property for them?
Mm-hmm.
We do. Whereabouts it is?
There's vacant next door, and it's zoned for more commercial on the other side of the street too.
That's Sam's.
Yeah, Sam's?
Yeah, the same.
Oh, that's the same.
That's already in business, so.
And then there's the corner from Division North on 4th Street.
I know Oxford, they had a problem. They had people come, find out they can't make it, they're going. And it's every day
The traffic.
in the traffic, they're bottled up.
I've got a few cards. If anyone wants to get in touch with me and follow up, I'll leave them up here. Okay?
Thank you, John. Thank you for coming. I'd like to thank John and Ron for coming out tonight, and especially the residents and citizens that are here.
I'm taking 5 minutes. I'm going to come back and stay for council.
Sometime we'll okay. You're going there? Yeah, okay, great.
I just can't tomorrow, we'll see after that.
I felt like it was
I know, I think it was 11.
well, okay, as long as it's not personal.
That's the plan.
Okay.
in on a message or? Oh, I didn't receive it.
And I don't know what our should do besides have these meetings where you can people to understand things because they don't still.
I know someone last night.
I think so.
I can't take it more.
I've been here, what, 13 years now?
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Leonard Village Council. Today is Monday, May 14th. I'd like to welcome everybody. I'd also like to mention that as we say our invocation today, that we keep our thoughts and prayers on Ron Rolando and his wife Dora and their children. Ron passed away since our last meeting. For those of you that didn't know him, Ron sat on the village council for several years in the 70s that I'm aware of, and he was an active and a really nice guy, so he will be missed. So with that, if we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you guide and bless the decisions of this council this evening, and may they be for the best of this community. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a roll call for attendance of the village council?
President McDonald?
Here.
Mrs. Sudbury?
Here.
Mr. Amaranti?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
And we'll note for the record that both Clerk Cindy Droskoff and Treasurer Judy Burst are present. Council has before it the minutes of the regular meeting held April 9th. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections? If not, the motion to approve the minutes would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of the approval of the minutes for April 9th, 2018 of the Village Council, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, minutes are approved. Council has before it a agenda for this evening. I'd like to note that number 7 under new business, we covered that last month, so we can cross that off. With that, are there any other changes or amendments? If none, a motion to approve the agenda as amended would be in order.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Council has before it the treasurer's report for the month of April. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections? If none, a motion to approve and file the minute or the report would be in order.
I make a motion, we receive and file the motion, or the report, excuse me.
I'll second it.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Amaranti?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Sudbury?
Yes.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is the accounts payable, which are the bills for the month of April. And you note that the amounts are bolded on the report. Are there any questions? If none, the motion to pay the bills for April in the amounts shown would be in order.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills as presented with $34,713.66 for the general, and the major $2,652.25, and local $79.75, and $0 for mill park and rec.
I'll second it.
Any questions on the motion to pay the bills? Hearing none, can we have a roll call, please, for approval?
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Amarante?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Okay. At this point in the meeting, the village council will hear public comment. If you have a comment not in regards to one of the agenda items, this would be an opportunity for you to address the council. Be aware that we ask that you be concise and to the point. So would anybody care to address council?
I was just curious on this payables, what the miscellaneous highway funds major fee is for. Like what does that cover?
We get highway funds from the state and they have to go into the major and local account and the state is direct depositing it to the general fund. So I have to transfer it over to the major and local.
So that's not a bill we pay, that's an amount we're given.
No, that's, well, yes and no.
Amount is transferred.
It goes into a deposit as a major from
We
the
write
general
a check
because-
to a different
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I was curious.
Okay.
If you look on the treasurer's report, you can see where that, yeah, that was deposit was made where it says 23,565.28, yeah.
Just curious.
Yes.
Yeah, in the future, is there any plan for sidewalks? Repairing them?
Yes.
There is?
Don, Irwin, and I have been talking about doing that this summer.
Sidewalks?
Repairing
Repairing
sidewalks.
sidewalks.
We're not proposing to put any new ones in at this time.
Okay, when you say repairing, you're taking out the broken ones and stuff like that?
Generally, that's what that means.
Okay. Because in front of my house, Charnoz, there's a whole lot of broken ones.
Like
They're
this.
heaved up like that. Somebody comes along there and trips on that, we're in a world of trouble.
Okay, are there any other comments?
Hi, Carolyn. Oops, hold on, sorry. I noticed that the people, priests were back doing some different repairs to different
Yeah.
things throughout what they've just done. Is there any more that they're doing?
They are not done with addressing problem areas of the project itself.
Okay.
They will be back to do some, make sure that the the grass and the drains are draining properly, things like that.
Okay. I just asked because I talked with my mom about the flooding right across from Shaw's house.
Right.
So I paid
Yeah,
attention. Because I'm like, I've never noticed it.
Right.
It's bad.
So she said, well, look and just see if it's still doing it. Maybe they fixed that.
That, no,
And I said, I don't know. And I just looked and I'm like, no, it's really bad.
that is on the punch list.
Okay, yeah, because that was
Them to
quite,
check this and
Because
fix.
it'll kill that apple tree there.
oh, absolutely, is. There's way too much water. It's quite flooded.
Well, the item number 3 under new business will touch on that as well. Is there anybody else that has a comment? Okay, we'll move on then to new business. John and Ron are still here, and they'd like an opportunity to address the council and the village about Main Street. So John, is there anything further?
So basically, I'll just repeat the offer I made previously, that if the village wants to engage more in the Main Street process and program, and when I say village, I mean the community, not just the local government, we're willing to come back and have those conversations and start the process of working with you guys on all the different topics related to the village and particularly the main downtown. So the offer still stands to work with you. I know there's a lot of questions and how does all fit and connect, and I'm willing to come back and have that conversation again as many times as you want to hear it to help you see where you want to go. So we're willing to work with the village as much as they want us to. And again, when I say village, I mean community. So I don't know what else I can possibly add. I think everyone who was here pretty much heard my main talk. So any other questions from me?
Thank you. I want to thank, on behalf of the council and the residents, I want to thank you and Ron for taking the time to come out here and help familiarize familiarize everyone with the Main Street.
Sure, be happy to even come back, and I think sometimes pictures are worth 1,000 words. And I think I'd even like to come back and do a repeat and just show some photos and examples from other communities that I think maybe Leonard could relate to, just to show what might be possible, and that might spark an additional conversation. So if you want me to do that, happy to do that.
We will be in touch.
I could add to that. Main Street is really a grassroots organization. It comes from the village on up. It's the community that builds it. And I think that's the strength of it. So we'll be here anytime you want us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a safe drive home.
Thank you.
All right.
There'll be less.
Less traffic.
Okay. Council received invitations, however, it is a public event. On June 2nd, the Pollyant Trail Lake Larry Obrecht Bridge dedication ceremony will take place from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This will be held at the base of the M24 bridge, over which the Pollyant Trail travels. Larry Obrecht, for those of you that may not recognize the name, is a former county commissioner for our district. He was also, the only word I can think of is impressive in the amount of work and the amount of coordination that he put together to actually take a railroad bed from a railroad bed full of gravel and make it into the Pollyant Trail. Of course, he didn't do it alone, and he got a lot of money from companies like GM was one, but Chrysler, Mercedes. There were a lot of large sponsorships, as well as a lot of state money. But he did make it happen, and the state Senator Jim Marlowe, who is also our state senator, implemented and worked with MDOT to get the bridge named for Mr. Obrecht. So that's June 2nd from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the Clark Drain. I wish I had more information. I received a phone call from Addison Township last Friday that a county drain engineer had called them trying to reach the village to notify us that apparently the Leonard drain has been declared an emergency situation, and they are going to come out and they assess what work has to be done. I think they're referring to the portion of the drain that's underground that travels south of the church. And I know Don informed me that there were a number of water resources trucks out there working. Until he has not called me back. I did call the engineer, left a message twice, have not heard back from him. But when he does, I will certainly let the council know what's happening. But I think that's why we're having a problem getting water out of the north side of the village and out of the village. It's just the ground is saturated and it's got nowhere to go except very slowly, just as ground.
But where she's referring to, it is this dip.
I understand.
And when they put the drain in, the drain's up here.
Right.
And that's down here. There's no way it could drain to the drain.
That is.
It just was man-created.
Right. That, and it is, and as I said, it is on the punch list
Okay.
for repairs, which I do have here somewhere. Where is it?
I mean, when I heard about it, I said, oh, let's pay attention, and I paid attention, and I was like,
Right.
wow, there's a lot of water there, and it's definitely not gonna drain. It's
When the
there's nowhere to drain.
tonight.
And it will definitely kill that tree. And that's, all that right there is so pretty.
Mike,
Yes.
the drain, you did not ask them to come out there and do that? The village didn't ask? They just showed up?
Yeah.
Oh.
What they took, the county took,
Yeah,
yeah, but county took over the drains.
I knew that.
Well, in doing that, we gave up the responsibility for it because we were doing all our own maintenance on the drains, and then county said, we're gonna charge you for it, and if you look, every one of your tax bills has a little something on there for the drains. So if they were gonna charge us, we said, you can do the whole thing.
But they haven't been. If they're charging
No,
us.
I know. It's one of those situations where they don't want to spend the money unless they absolutely have to, and what they would like to do is have the communities and the benefiting properties increase the assessment. In other words, say, we want you to fix this, and then we would have to pay more money to pay for it. On the little bit of research I've been able to do since last Friday, it appears that by declaring it an emergency, they may have emergency funding available to them to actually perform the repairs, and that it would not have to come out of the benefiting properties' pockets, so to speak.
Where does the water go?
So,
Yeah.
it travels to Upper Lakeville Lake. It goes, there's a, Leonard Drain is on this side of the village, and the Clark Drain runs from west from Rochester Road here to the southwest. And then the Leonard Drain crosses under Rochester Road and meets up with the Clark Drain. They Y together and then travel downhill to Upper Lakeville Lake.
Yeah, I know they were out there for 8 hours working last week.
Yeah, they were there a couple days,
Yeah.
at least.
Well, we have blueprints from when that drain was installed by the county, and I believe they were dated 1920. So
Oh, I knew one.
they're nearly 100 years old, and they have been out there several times.
Mike Schlussler said as a kid, he helped dig those drains.
So they were clay pipe, and they're old, so they're breaking. That's the bottom line. Okay, so moving on then to mowing equipment. Council, push has come to shove. Don Irwin has been generous enough, and of course we've compensated him for using his own lawn cutting equipment, but he says no more. And he's right. It's not right for him to have to use, his own equipment to cut the grass in the village. So with that, tonight I'm asking the council for direction. Don went out and did obtain some bids for some mowers, commercial type mowers, to do the maintenance on the village properties along with the right-of-ways. And he's basically looking at one of the larger zero-turn mowers. I think it's a 54-inch. I discussed with him, why not get a tractor with various implements and all of that, which we did have before, but we also had a number of problems. I mean, it was a problematic piece of machinery to maintain, to put the implements on. Quite often, we just used it. In fact, at the end, it was only used for grass cutting anyways. So, I have been looking, for the last 2 years, we got a couple donated tractors that turned out to be worth what we paid for them, which was nothing. I sank money into one of them trying to get it running right. It was a futile effort. So I'm going to ask the council for direction on what to do. A used machine may have an attractive price, but it has no warranty, any repairs, and do we know what we're actually getting? If we buy a new machine, we'll have a warranty, we'll know what we have, but you will pay the difference. One of the positive things on a new machine is that we can get municipal discounts through the state of Michigan on new equipment, like we did with the village tractor, the DPW tractor. We won't get that with a used piece of equipment.
Are we talking paying cash payments or what? And is there money in the budget?
We have new equipment money for new equipment that would cover the cost, although the cost is not insignificant. It ranges from, for the type of mower that Don was looking at, which is a commercial duty mower. It's not a residential mower, which is kind of where we ran into problems before. It was the residential mowers really aren't up to the abuse, cutting right-of-ways, etc. The elevators or elevation of the decks, the clearances, etc. So Don went out just to get a ballpark idea, and generally it looks like the type of system that he thinks we should have, and I concur. I think it's time. I think the council spent $5,600 on the Kubota tractor, and I think that was before implements. Right now we're looking at almost $7,000 for a new zero turn.
Where'd you get the bids from?
Novak's, Grenia's for the John Deere, and Burdick Street. The Burdick Street and Novak's were for Skag mowers, and John Deere was obviously for John Deere. But we had to start somewhere.
Yep.
And decide what we're going to do. So I'd appreciate some direction at this point on what the council would like to do.
I guess following along with Char's question, the money that we have in the new equipment budget, will that cover the mower?
Yeah, it's not something we'd like to spend, but it is there for new equipment. There may be an option, at least with the John Deere. I'm not sure if we can do like we did with the other tractor, or if we want to do that, pay time on it. Judy, do you have an opinion you'd want to share on that?
It was.
Other than let's not spend.
If it was interest-free for X amount of time, we might want to think about it, but if it's not interest-free, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Is there a possibility to offer some sort of free, like, marketing or exposure for Burdick Street if they offer a discount on the tractor during like the Strawberry Festival or something?
Well, in the case of Burdick Street, the mower originally quoted to the general public is $10,211, and the state discount gets it down to $7,700.
I'm just saying, I mean, any money counts.
I don't know. I
mean, it's marketing for them, and there's probably still cost in there, and there's thousands of people that'll come into town. There's something to think about.
Yeah, we could certainly ask them.
We did great though when it comes to warranty products and stuff as well.
Yep. Yeah, I buy stuff.
I've bought multiple things since I've lived here from them, and they've been amazing.
That's good to know.
And the brand itself is good.
Pardon?
Yeah, the brand itself.
Okay, yeah. For the Skag?
Yeah, it's a great brand.
Skag and John Deere both have great support systems. I think they're only sold through dealers.
Did you check with Weingart's?
Yeah, have you communicated directly with any brands? Like just call Skag directly?
Yeah,
They have, in the past, when we were looking for tractors, for the DPW tractors, the manufacturers referred us to the dealers.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They do give the dealers all have this state of Michigan discount price. And in fact, Novak's and Burdick Street both quoted this exact same amount from that list of $77.31. Yeah. So those were $77.31. The John Deere was $69.86.76. So it was a little less money.
Same mowers, horsepower wise, cut wise, everything.
Yeah, 54.
What kind of warranty program do they have?
54. Basically, they're the same warranty.
Will they come out and work on it, or we gotta take it there?
I'm sure we'll have to take it there.
Sometimes you can get them to come out.
Well, bigger equipment. That's
John Deere,
not affordable, yeah. But we have, the dealers are close, that's the nice thing for these two.
That's the average price anyway. I mean, it's not off the market by no means.
Judy, did you have something?
I said I'm sure it'll come out for a price to work on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to pay them.
Yeah, right.
So. Any other questions? Suggestions?
I would say it's the most used piece of equipment we probably have.
Yeah, sounds like a good one.
Well,
I would assume it is.
There is something to be said too for the speed that they can cut grass.
Yeah.
Because Don's cutting grass for 3 or 4 hours a week, when he could be done in a couple hours.
Oh, yeah, they're faster.
So,
One thing I think would be interesting is find out if they do have a 0% financing program. Because I know when I bought my John Deere, it had 0%.
well, the problem we have as a municipality is that we can't buy on time. We have to go through, Judy, it's like a bank.
Yeah.
It's like a bank has to pay for it. We can't finance it for 3 or 5 years. We either buy it outright or we have to go through a plan like we have with our tractor.
Did they have a rental program, seasonal rental program?
That I'm aware of, no, they didn't suggest it either. They did have used units that they wanted to sell us, but a used Skag that was 3 years old and had over 1,000 hours on it was $4,400.
Been beat up.
So, I mean, but I can look into leasing as well as interest-free, although that really doesn't apply.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, that's all.
I mean, at leasing at that point, you might as well just buy one that you own, that you can keep.
After so long of leasing.
Right. Yeah, a lot of them, even with the John Deere, technically the John Deere tractor that we purchased, we make 5 years of payments, and at the end we pay $1, and then it's ours. That's the deal, but that was up front, you know. Okay, pleasure of the council. I don't have a preference for either unit per se, so if that's the way we want to
either. I like the idea of buying new, but
Yeah. You don't want to buy used in that.
John Deere and Skag.
Well, do they have certified, like pre-owned style, where the dealership service them and check them out?
I don't think they do that with lawnmowers.
That would come with something.
Not for commercial, they don't do that for commercial. Good
Are the
question.
prices all
Good
about the
question.
same?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you buy on the state of Michigan municipal bid sheet, I guess they call it, the prices for the brand are going to be the same.
Okay.
No matter what dealer you go to or whatever.
Well, dealers give more of an incentive though, of any kind, do you like?
Don worked them pretty hard, and they might throw in a couple quarts of oil.
Dealerships work like that, you know, that's their bottom dollar, but then they're gonna,
It's a
do
little-
they do any trades, like do you have something we can trade back to them?
No, we don't,
Everybody wants money.
You know?
It's all about
John Deere, we'll keep it in the family.
it is the least expensive unit.
There you
I
go.
mean, by several $100s, $6,996.76 versus $7,731.
What's the difference in the two, size or?
No, the width of cut's the same, 54 inch, and they're
I don't think it's a coincidence.
25.
See John Deere.
The John Deere is actually bigger, larger horsepower. John Deere's 25.
Oh, there you go.
The Skags are 22.
You only see X marks and Skags on long cutting crews trailers, so.
There's a
For
reason for
that.
that, I agree.
I've seen some John Deere's.
I know, I mean, everybody's done it, I'm just saying vast majority of any crew that's out there, any of the bigger shops always
That's
has
where
those.
it's good.
There's got to be a reason for that.
I guess my preference is leave it to Don. He's the one that's gonna have his butt in the seat the entire time.
I mean, are we talking money?
Yeah.
I mean, well, there is a difference in money. If they were all things equal, I would be okay with that, but I think we have to make a call on it. And if we do go with the higher priced model or brand, why are we doing that?
Can you research the reviews?
Is there a spec sheet? Or we can look at a spec sheet?
We couldn't get one for the Skag, believe it or not. The dealer didn't have one, but we did get one for the commercial mowers for John Deere. So And we are getting into lawn cutting season, guys. Yeah.
The rain never stops,
Yeah, I
right?
know. So,
I mean, obviously, you're gonna wanna purchase it prior to your next meeting.
pardon?
You're gonna wanna purchase something prior to your next meeting.
Yeah, I prefer not to wait a month, or have to call a special meeting to buy a lawnmower.
I mean,
And this isn't, you know, even the Kubota, for all the problems we had with it, I think we had it nearly about 10 years. But it was, the last 3 years were, it was just money after money after money.
I think Skag would be cheaper to maintain than the John
I
Deere.
agree.
Can you approve up to an amount?
That's what I was
If
gonna
you
say,
choose to
you
get
know,
less,
approve
then-
up to
Yeah,
the higher,
sure.
but then do the research on them in between.
Yeah, I'm
You don't have to
I'm
spend
willing to
the-
do that as long as the council tells me what you want, what in particular you want to know. Obviously warranty, and these aren't commercial, so they generally don't have as good a warranty as,
It cost of parts, I mean, that's another thing, like cost of repairs. Once you have to start paying for it, you're gonna really go on. I would check reviews for sure.
Yeah.
okay, Don's gonna be busy.
So what was the totalized amount for the Skag mowers?
7731.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve up to $7,731 for approval for a new mower, based on your fact finding and Don's approval.
I'll second.
So Don will make the final call as far as which one? Based on,
Yeah, I mean,
based on warranty?
I mean, you're gonna be.
All things being equal.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there support?
I supported it.
Larry? Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote to authorize $7,731 not to exceed for the purchase of either a John Deere or a Skag zero-turn mower system?
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Amoranti?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yep.
Okay, and I will report to the council before the purchase what the outcome is. Okay, moving on to the next item. May is Mental Health Month. Couldn't come at a better time. Once again, in this year, as we do every year, we support Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May of 2018. The Oakland Community Health Network is asking that the Village of Leonard recognize May as Mental Health Month. What is the pleasure of the Village Council?
What do they want, money?
No, just for us.
That's what everybody wants.
They want mental health.
Might not find it here.
That's what we all want.
No, all we need to do is pass a resolution adopt the resolution recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month.
I so move.
Second.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution that May is Mental Health Month for the Village of Leonard in Oakland County, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Okay. We received our annual letter from the Road Commission for their pavement striping program. As always, it's considerably more expensive than our, because they use the thermoplastic pavement marking. I'd like to ask the council for authorization to find alternate striping company. As we have done in the past, we joined Village of Oxford and Village of Lake Orion and got a combined package from the same contractor actually that the county uses for considerably less money. But that said, if I can't find one, we do have the funds to spray it have it sprayed by the county if all else fails. So if we put that in the form of a motion that
What do we have planned this year for striping?
it would be basically Forest Street and Division Street. I guess we'll have, by the time they get out here, we'll have to see if Elmwood would need it. But we do have $8,500 allocated for that. So,
The county wants an additional 18%.
yeah, which is up 3% from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's where they zing you. I mean, that's
Well, and then they add 18% for administrative costs, and that's just such a chunk of money.
I know.
We don't have the equipment to do this anymore? I thought we had.
Well, we have a
roller.
Soccer field.
I'm not sure we could talk Don into doing it.
One on the back of mower.
Yeah.
There you go. Make them all at the same time.
Mow, stripe.
Village party with paper.
No, Don gets to pick out his own mower, he might do anything you want.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to authorize contracting for the pavement striping for village using water-based paint unless it's unavailable or doesn't represent a cost savings, in which case we would authorize the road commission to do the work.
I'll make a motion that look for stripers and use the county if you can't find anybody.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Alex?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any questions on the motion? If none, it's an expenditure, so could we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Amarante?
Yes.
Okay, council, I sent you an email, although I know Larry didn't get it. Somehow I couldn't find his email.
I don't have one.
We received a communication from our engineers, Row Professional Services. And I guess it's 3 paragraphs, so I'll read it so that everybody knows what it's about. Mike, as you know, we are in the process of wrapping up the Elmwood project for you. Last invoice to the village was in December, which showed we had $1,542.25 remaining in the budget for our services. We will need those funds to go through the MDOT closeout process. When the contractor was in the village the week of April 23rd, replacing the sidewalk, installing the drain and driveway opening, Dave was their on-site coordinator for Row. He was on site for 36 hours and we had another staff testing the concrete for part of the day they poured. Cost for that time is $3,738, and there will be a cost to test the 4 concrete cylinders, which will be about $80, for a total of $3,818. Will the village pay the costs we incurred to have our staff there for this additional work? I'm not asking the village to pay anything additional for my time to see this project completed, but would appreciate your consideration of our staff's time and cylinder testing for this additional work. We are committed in seeing this project through and looking forward to seeing the turf established and remaining punch list items completed. Sincerely, Doug Skyless. My response to him was, here we go. I will ask the village council at our next meeting to review and determine our obligation on this matter. If the contractor had performed reasonable and customary quality in the first place, most of this time would have been unnecessary. However, the village did take advantage of this opportunity to perform some revisions to the original plan, so I recognize that we have responsibility for that work. I will inform the council and ask for authorization to pay for engineering and testing costs related to it. So, I'm going to ask the village council for direction here. They would like us to pay all the freight for having their personnel here for those 3 days. And they'll be out here again, although for the final cleanup, but that will be the contractor's, on the contractor's responsibility. We won't be paying for that.
So if I understand you correctly, there was something like $1,500 left that hadn't been spent. Now, are they asking for $3,000 on top of that?
Yes, they are. He's saying that that money is set aside to close out the project. This money represents time that they spent on site that they had not planned on spending because of the contractor's shoddy workmanship, I guess is the best way I can describe it.
I would tell them to go after the contractor.
Why should the village pay for that?
Well, with some of it, we did have them do a curb cut for Mr. Rathberg's premises, and we installed a drain there as well because of the tendency of the water to run down the sidewalk and flood. So I think we have some responsibility there. The question is how much. I would like direction from the council as to what my response should be.
Wasn't it checked into prior to them doing the cement work and putting that?
Yeah, quite honestly, this caught me off guard. I did not expect this because when we contracted for the project.
Exactly.
So we did change the project a little bit with the drain, etc. So I think they're entitled to something for that. But
I'd let them have the 1,500, call it quits.
Is there a way to obtain the hours spent just on that particular?
It would be a day. It would be a day, which would probably be
Like an 8-hour project?
So are we talking 1,500?
Probably.
So if we gave them 3,000 instead of the 4,500?
Well,
they've got 1,500 set.
Well, I'm reading
No,
that.
the 1,500 is spoken for though. That's what you have to appreciate, is that money is set aside to escort MDOT around and make sure that everything is right. All the repairs to the drains and that have to be right. Everything has to work right. The grass has to be growing. Sidewalks and the pavement markings have to be right. MDOT will look at that with them. So that money was already set aside from the beginning of the project for that purpose. The remediation work and their presence here, Roe's presence here, is what he's saying we would like to get paid for. I concur that we added to the work when we had the drain and the curb cut and the other odds and ends repaired. They did some cement work right here in front of the hall that was on top of that. So, but that was a day's work.
All right, so I'm asking 1,500?
Plus, yeah.
No, the 1,500 is there. I'm saying, are we talking giving another $1,500? Is that reasonable?
Well, you'd have to break it down by the hour and what they're charging.
I was here in that one meeting and they had.
About $1,266 is 8 hours, if you divide his proposed 3738.
This work is them bringing someone out and babysitting them while they verify that they did their job?
Yeah.
It was already, that's already part of it.
I'm just so clear, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
So why is it that we would have to pay for them to have someone come out and verify that?
And I think that's the point of his letter, is there's no harm asking.
Yeah.
Which is what it sounds like.
Which is,
sounds like, hey, we gotta give us more money, great.
And I do feel that because we did, you pay time and material when you make a contract change. We did add work. If the contractor hadn't messed up, we probably wouldn't be in this position.
You wouldn't add them.
But we wouldn't have made the revisions that we made that really should have been made. I mean, they should have been in the first place. So that said, 1266.
Has the contractor been paid in full?
Not yet.
So can we hold money back from them and pay?
Yeah, we've been holding it for several months now. We didn't pay them last year when they got done. So
take that money off of their bill
So-
and give it to these guys. For the 1,300.
yeah, I wish we could do that. MDOT says we can't do that. We have to pay
The contract.
the hours are the hours. So, but it looks like I think $1,350. That includes the testing and a full 8 hours of
Changes.
that we were responsible for.
Who from the village gave you direction to do so? Just everybody?
Yeah, the village council agreed that we needed to make these additions.
Okay.
Are they going to charge you now if they have to come out and redo the drain that's messed up
No,
down there?
that's covered
That's all
already
part
in
of
the
the
con,
original
that was part of the original project.
Now, Mike, I can't believe that they didn't know that the curbs that they put in did not match the elevation of the sidewalk. We had quite a tilt there. We don't have so much anymore. Isn't that their fault? Isn't that an engineering issue?
Well, MDOT standards don't allow the road to have the crown that it used to have. They had to raise, they're only allowed 2% grade.
Oh.
So everything all along the road had to be brought up, which is problematic. As you can see in front of my house and a couple other areas, there's ponding and stuff going on that was never there before, so.
Well, before, when we had the old sidewalk, the crews from the past, they made sure cracks would take that water and would take it right out about where they were cutting in front of the carport there. All we need is some cracks in the sidewalk.
I'm sure we'll get cracks eventually. I take your point. This is the way it's done to reasonable and customary standards for construction.
I mean, it made a difference putting the drain, and it solved a lot of it. It didn't solve it all, but it solved enough.
Right. Okay, so what is the pleasure of the council? I think I'd like to think we're all in agreement that we should be responsible for the things we changed and the testing, because that's actually for our benefit. That comes to about $1,350, a little less, $1,346 by my math.
I go for that before I go for anything else.
Is that a motion, Larry?
Yeah.
So for the
I'll
1346?
support them.
1346.
Okay.
Paul?
I'll support.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the motion?
Just can we double check with them to make sure that they're not gonna come back with another bill later?
Yeah.
Just, I fear this is gonna turn into the never-ending check.
Yeah, I think the only thing they could do is argue about this one, because everything else is part of our contract.
I remember the meeting we had out here on the sidewalk, and they knew they had to come back and do that.
Oh, I agree. I think they're just fishing.
Yeah, I do too. I'd like to tell them, go to hell. Pardon my French, German, and English, but I would.
Yeah, just make sure it finalizes.
We'll send them a copy of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, this closes out the contract.
Okay. If there's no further question, can we have a roll call then?
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Mr. Amoranti?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
You betcha.
All right, and as I said, they're expected, I believe, out here later this month to do all the final MDOT required final approvals. So we'll probably see them around the village at least one more time. Okay, moving on to President's report. We had no Freedom of Information Act.
Did I miss chloride costs? Did it go right over my head?
No,
We took it off.
We took it out at the beginning, out of the agenda. My apologies. We did it last month, Cindy. We accepted road maintenance's bid. So there was no Freedom of Information Act request. We did get one application for block grant for our home repairs. However, Christmas in Action agreed to do the work, and they've completed the plumbing repairs that were requested. We're now looking to get the roof and the trees trimmed a little bit to prevent further damage to the roof. So hopefully that'll be resolved soon.
What can you use that on?
Basically, income eligible homes and for residents furnaces, it's basically for emergency
We
stuff.
can't use it for a pipe to drain water.
From where to where?
Well,
If it was in your
I-
basement, maybe, but if
No, it's
it's,
that northern part that's underwater that's causing two of the homes across the street to have problems.
where, what are you saying?
The northern part of our property.
Oh,
You ought to know.
well, if you look on the east side though, the county drain is not low enough to take the water.
Is that what the deal is?
Yeah, then that's all part of
We
the
can't put a
problem.
pipe in because the
Yeah.
drop's not there.
Exactly.
I tried, Steve.
Well, you know,
And
plus, you
it's-
can
it's
dig
been-
deep enough to get that pipe deep enough.
Pardon me?
I said, you can dig deep enough to get a pipe deep enough to drain into a lower. You just gotta have the money to do it.
If you've got somewhere to send the water, sure. Okay.
It doesn't go through your property, does it?
No.
The drain?
Oh, but it does get to my property.
I know, you have to go through Moore's property. That's a problem too, getting
Ordinance enforcement.
permission.
Okay. As I indicated earlier, I know nobody wants to hear this, but I do. Mill work day is this Saturday from 9 to noon. Trustee committee reports, summer festival committee. I don't think we have anybody here, do we? She'll be here this week, right? Be back this week? Okay, cable commission, anything going on there?
I wasn't able to attend. Did Paul go or the last
I don't
meeting?
know. Paul, did you get my email about the cable meeting? No. Sharp in the 10th?
When is that?
It's already passed.
Oh.
I sent you an email when Char let me know. I just wondered if you got it.
I did go to the Rotary and represent the Cable Commission there and speak for Bill Service. He got an award, a non-Rotarian award.
Okay, decorating committee. You heard anything?
I haven't heard a thing other than, it was great to be part of, it was approved to be part of that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kay. I thought maybe.
We were here Tuesday and.
I called.
Kay and I was here, nobody else showed up.
Okay.
I was informed that you were,
Is it possible to maybe email out when all this, that's all I heard is, yep, you're good. That's all I know.
I left a message on your phone.
I don't have a home phone. On my cell phone?
What, Judy's gonna, no.
Whatever number I just
No,
gave.
perfectly fine. It's great. I'll give you my cell number
Was there,
and my email. and
Do we have a
everything.
schedule for the decorating committee?
It's out on the board.
So,
there's
yeah.
nothing out there for the decorating.
No, it's not on the phone.
I looked today.
Okay,
I'm excited to get involved in it too. I just would like more information.
and we want to make it easy to get involved.
Yeah. No, perfectly fine.
So,
And who the other person is, I have no idea.
That's
Okay.
Chris's wife, Megan.
right.
She's a teacher up in Leonard. They live in the village now.
Okay, so Kay, do you have a schedule set up
The
for
second Tuesday of the month.
every month? Second Tuesday? Judy, can you put something up on the board?
Sure. Usually I get a copy with them doing it so that if there's an error,
that's true.
it's not my problem.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I get involved, I would be more than happy to do that.
So I'd like to schedule
She's
something.
local community.
You'd be happy to do it.
Put it
I
out
will,
there.
I will put the schedule up. I think I give it to her every year.
Okay, so you're gonna take care of it? Perfect, okay. All right, planning commission, I don't believe they're having a meeting this month.
No.
It's been
Okay, right, no meeting this month.
Right. Pollyant Trail, meeting is this Wednesday, and gosh, I don't know where it's gonna be. Just the normal things. I think we had enough of Main Street. Any other comments? Any other comments?
That might not be the best meeting. Oh, I think that.
Holy moly.
What did I miss?
I don't know.
Was it something I said, or?
No.
Okay,
It might have been because you were looking at her and not her. Okay.
Yeah.
No, she said she's all done. She goes, thank you, goodbye. She left. She goes, I'm done here.
Okay.
I think she was offended because I wanted to put something. I don't know. But again, that's really not what I want to be part of. Everything should be pretty positive, and it just didn't feel like it just then. So if she wants to decorate, by all means, decorate.
Speaking of positive, the village parks, we set up some work days, and I think I'll be sending it to be posted. You don't have them, do you remember?
Oh, I don't have my, no, it's on my plan book. Sorry.
We'll get them out, but we did meet last Wednesday, so I believe it was.
I think it is the last Saturday of this month, we have a work day.
Memorial Day weekend?
No, I think there's a Saturday after that, isn't there?
I don't think so.
Probably it felt early this year.
No, the second is the Saturday after.
Yeah.
Oh, the second, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be Memorial.
Okay, so May 26th, there's a
That
park.
would be
That's
Memorial Day
Memorial
weekend.
Day weekend.
Is it really?
May 26th is a big thing up at the cemetery for anybody that wants to go to it.
Yeah, so we'll have to get that straightened out, and get the dates out. Transportation Authority, there's a meeting this Thursday. I think the big news is just, they're still gonna go for the millage, in August, as far as I know. And Community Development Block Grant, did we get a report? I didn't see one.
I don't see any either. I think I got last month's early, I mean after the meeting, but there was not one for this month.
Okay.
I didn't include it because
I have no correspondence. Is there anything else to come before the council? Hearing none, is there a motion to
I
adjourn?
make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
I'm gonna go home.
I'll third.
All in favor? Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending.